Sir, just give me a minute. I'll just check. So there is some technical error. Please give us 2 minutes.
Hi, now I'm able to, I guess.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Great. Hope everyone had a good lunch. Post-lunch sessions are generally sleepy. So we can start with questions and then we can have a brief understanding of the harmonization bit. So from the previous session, if someone has any clarifications, any questions, or just want to, give a feedback on how they feel the AI ecosystem is functioning and what is the future of law in AI industry. If somebody wants to add to the discourse, please feel free. Maybe Pallavi ma'am would want to add something.
If anyone wants to add something, please, the session is open for all. Otherwise, we'll continue with sirs.
Ma'am is here.
Yes. So, सुभाष जी, AI की बेनिफिट्स तो बहुत लोगों ने गिनाते हैं। अभी एक पार्टिसिपेंट थे एडवोकेट विपुल जी, उन्होंने एक क्वेश्चन पूछा था whether IAS is challenge for the sovereignty of a country. इसी के कंटिन्यूएशन में मेरा फर्दर क्वेश्चन है, am I audible?
Ma'am, now you are. I think somebody was on mute, so.
मैं फिर से शुरू करती हूँ सर. करेक्ट. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, advocate विपुल ने एक क्वेश्चन पूछा था whether AI is a challenge for the sovereignty of a country. Correct. अब मेरा उसी के कंटिन्यूएशन में क्वेश्चन है whether AI is a challenge for the culture of a nation or excessive use of the AI or dependency on the AI may destroy the civilization. जैसे सिंधु घाटी की सभ्यता थी या हमारी जो सभ्यता है वो whether it is to what extent it can save the civilization, the culture of a nation, क्योंकि कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा हुआ कि पुरानी सभ्यताएं खत्म हो गई.
Correct.
So how what we can foresee. ठीक है, बेनिफिट्स है सर, बेनिफिट्स है, नो डाउट, बहुत सारे बेनिफिट्स है. एक सर और दूसरा चैलेंज आता है कि ऐसा देखते हैं कि किसी का भी आई मीन कोई आर्टिस्ट है या जो
क्रिएटर है कोई,
एआई का जर्नलिस्ट है, उनके लैंग्वेज, द वे ऑफ स्पीकिंग है ना, हाउ दे स्पीक, एआई उनका पूरा बना के यस उस तरीके से पोर्ट्रेट किया जाता है.
करेक्ट.
ऑफ कोर्स इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कंट्रोल. तो इन दैट केस ठीक है, हम लाइबिलिटी की भी तो बात कर रहे थे इससे 2 सेशन से, अभी मॉर्निंग के सेशन में भी who will be liable, who will be liable, who will be liable. लाइबिलिटी के अलावा what kind of liability? Only compensation or the criminal liability?
interesting.
So these are the points which we are thinking. I'm just if you can throw some lights on this.
No, ma'am, actually you have set the right tone for this session, because this is where I see जो हम हार्मोनाइजेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, हम there was a phase when we were kids and the whole globalization took place. World economy was liberalized. We saw not just blending of cultures, blending of civilization, but we also saw erosion of not just values, but erosion of things that we nurtured for years. चाहे वो हम कल्चरल प्रॉपर्टीज की बात करें, चाहे आर्टिजन्स की बात करें, चाहे हम अपनी जो एक सिविलाइजेशन में जिस तरह से हमने नॉट जस्ट अस, नॉट जस्ट इंडिया, बट others as well. Globally, there are countries which are developed countries, there are developing countries and underdeveloped countries. We only are aware of as India, we are a developing nation. We are informed and aware of developed countries. We are informed and aware of our counterparts. Maybe we keep talking about Pakistan or China or XYZ, but how many times did we ever inform ourselves or are aware of these underdeveloped countries or those island countries? Seldom. I have not heard Indian news talking about these countries. I don't know about their culture. So when I see something like a digital territory, a digital world altogether, which is made meaningful by platforms like metaverse, by digital economy, by which is again enabled by artificial intelligence or such kind of digital softwares, we see a more democratic structure. That's a very fluid, very dynamic structure. That is not the same structure what we follow in our physical life. Constitution says, or IPC says, or these laws says that you cannot say anything bad about a religion, right? हमें बोलते हैं कि आप ये एंटी कास्ट रिमार्क नहीं कर सकते हो, आप SC/ST एक्ट के अंदर वायलेशन आ जाएगा, आप इस रिलीजन को आप पब्लिक ऑर्डर के अगेंस्ट कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो, काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. When we are talking about a digital world, probably these things don't occur. While they are beyond and without eroding, they are creating a parallel universe. And that is why a lot of people are encouraging this parallel universe, because there does not exist these issues. Something which we call as culture, probably it is not culture, but our systems, how we have created our civilization. So, and that is where the real issue arises. What will happen to these laws, like an SC/ST Act, or kind of a posh act, which is no more biased or no more favoring to one specific kind of community, not to say SC/ST, not to say women. In the virtual world, everything is democratic. There does not exist a caste system. There does not exist a gender discrimination. Because, while we are looking at our iPad screens or our laptop screens, I see only a very few photographs. I see only a very few people with their cameras on. Mostly what we see, अगर आप यहाँ से सारे नाम हटा दो, अगर आप जेम्स FDP कोऑर्डिनेटर हटा दो, अमृता कौर हटा दो, तो वो क्या आप बता सकते हो कि वो मेल है, फीमेल है, AI है? नहीं बता सकते हो. So that is the beauty of a digital world. But our laws are not prepared or are created to appreciate this beauty. They are created to regulate what is there in the physical world.
Correct.
Right? So we need an ecosystem, a legal ecosystem, which recognizes this democratic structure on the digital world. And that is where we can say, okay, these are 5 things I want to bring from my physical world onto your virtual world. 5 things could be a digital economy, a fair economy, a fair representation in the global digital world, no favorite treatment to any jurisdiction or a citizenry of a jurisdiction, मोस्ट फेवर्ड नेशन नहीं, है ना. तो ऐसी चीजों को हम वहां पे अवॉइड कर सकते हैं या वो उनको इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं. सो अब ये कैसे होगा? जब हमारे पास एक सिस्टम होगा, व्हेन वी विल हैव अ लीगल सिस्टम व्हिच इज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड by the global community and which is acknowledged by the global community. So when we talk about a UN agency, when we talk about an EU organization or an organization, something like WIPO, which represents the global community and which has got, say, about 190, 200 countries as its members, then we are able to create and recognize a digital ecosystem which is treated as a global world, right? अब उस global world में, when somebody commits a crime, then that treatment has to be in certain manner. When somebody is defrauding, then it will not be seen where you're defrauding in India or you have done the crime in Bangladesh. Then it will be seen how it is done and what should be the way of penalization, penalty or compensation. As you rightly pointed out, कि भाई उसमें रिलीफ क्या मिलेगा? क्योंकि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे आप कोई भी डिस्प्यूट होता है तो डिस्प्यूट का एंड रिजल्ट एक रिलीफ होता है, चाहे वो इंजंक्शन होता है, चाहे वो डैमेजेस होता है, कॉस्ट होता है, चाहे वो आपके कोई डायरेक्टरी रिलीफ होती है, कोई स्पेसिफिक परफॉर्मेंस होती है. In this kind of system, what I perceive a more a fair routine could be sanctions. What could be a sanction on a digital world? That your profile will be blocked for a month, just like how you arrest कि आपको बाहर की दुनिया से कोई अब वो नहीं रहेगा, तो you are arrested, you are digitally arrested for a year or two. So you have to have these legal systems which recognize digital arrest or digital imprisonment. So our professors are learned professors here, and especially those who are in the field of criminal law, they probably can do some bit of a research on digital imprisonment. Something very interesting, we are adding value to this jurisprudence which is still developing. And I'm sure there are not much writings or much understanding about what is the actual concept or context of imprisonment. What do you do when you put someone behind bars? You are restricting their fundamental rights. How do you restrict their constitutional or fundamental rights in a digital space? Right? So maybe with such kind of discourses and white papers coming out of institutes like GIMS, we can create this kind of a research material, and that will be very helpful for even the global, the whole globe, as in the world at large, who is actually studying this day in day out. It will be very helpful for them to understand, acha, this is what has come from India. And it's a great opportunity for all of us. We should definitely consider that bit. So yeah, so now when we are talking about harmonization and why do we require a harmonization is because ma'am asked this question that what are we doing with our culture? What are we letting it erode, or are we creating a sovereign environment in the digital space as well? How do we create that sovereign environment? Whether US and Russia would still lead as the superpowers in the virtual world as well, or where a country like Kenya or Nigeria can also come and say, no, we have an equal say. Maybe people who are offering their land to create those software farms, like we have these huge spaces which are created as computer farms where they are farming technology, whether they would lead as a superpowers is something that needs to be foreseen. What will be the criteria for, say, अभी स्टैंडर्ड एंड पुअर की रेटिंग्स होती है कि भाई ये टॉप पे है, ये बॉटम पे है, वो डिजिटल वर्ल्ड में कौन क्रिएट करेगा या कैसे वो सब होगा? तो इसी चीज को लेके नाउ institutes and people who are taking the lead here is, say, European Union, or there are organizations which are, but again the question is whether these organizations are working in an unbiased manner. Are they even listening to other countries or not is a question. And that is why we need to have fair representation in all these forums and organizations so that we can tell a different story. We can tell an Indian story. Somebody will tell a Nepali story. Somebody will tell a Bangladeshi story. Everyone should be part of this whole understanding, because good, bad, ugly, AI, metaverse, digital economy, they are here to stay and they are going to create a lot of nuisance if not tamed. हम लॉ क्यों बनाते हैं? रेगुलेट करने के लिए. और अगर हम पहले से ही रेगुलेशंस नहीं लाएंगे तो it will only impact the world at large. Now, when we talk about what could be the impact, there are, जैसे बचपन में एक शायद मूवी थी, उसका नाम था रोटी कपड़ा और मकान. तो वैसे ही डिजिटल वर्ल्ड में भी हमारे पास ऐसा ही कुछ है कि भाई our our personality, as ma'am said, people are copying the way you talk, the way you appear. These are your personal attributes. So आपकी रोटी is your, say, personality, your kapda is your finances, your economy. Every now and then we get to know कि किसी का account hack हो गया, पता नहीं पैसे कहाँ गए, somebody called up and suddenly एक OTP आया and everything vanished from your account. So your money. And third, your property. Like when I say property, it's not just your tangible property, but property as a citizen, as a right. What rights that you have as a citizen. So these are the three things which needs to be secured, which need to be protected in the global legal system, which has to be implemented for digital world. And that is where the harmonization has to take place. These agencies, these organizations are working to identify under these chapters of fair representation of crimes occurring or arising from digital platform and the rights which everyone can claim. As of now, what happens when you use a Siri or a Alexa, आपके राइट्स कहाँ से आते हैं? आपके राइट्स उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट से आते हैं. जब आप उस फोन को स्विच ऑन करते हो पहली बार, वो आपसे दुनिया भर के क्लिक्स करवाता है, ये टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस हैं, XYZ हैं, आप सीरी को इंस्टॉल करोगे या इस पे आप बोल के देखोगे हे सीरी, 2-4 बार बोलेगा. वो क्या कर रहा है? वो आपसे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन करा रहा है, उसकी टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन साइन करा रहा है. जो राइट्स आपके एमिनेट हो रहे हैं या जो राइट्स क्रिएट हो रहे हैं, दैट इज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स. बट कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल राइट्स आर by de facto they are in personam rights, they are not in rem rights. In personam है क्योंकि it is a contract between you and Apple Inc. It is you and Google. That right is not against the whole world. It is not an in rem right. So how do we identify and enforce in rem rights in a digital world? If it is not through contracts, or contract law has to be tweaked for digital systems, where it says that whatever right is created because you are putting a terms and condition, that terms and condition will create a sort of an in-rem right, or whether that can be treated or not is a question. So when we are dealing in harmonization of the laws which will enable any country to treat its citizenry with respect, with dignity, with integrity, because AI or through AI, somebody can violate their constitutional or other rights. तो उसके लिए हार्मोनाइजेशन का बहुत जरूरत है. What is happening, and this is not a process which has just started. We are in 25. वो तो हमें कोविड भी हमें बाद में पता चला था जब इटली और स्पेन पूरा डूब चुका था. हम बहुत पीछे हैं. We are already we have a laid back attitude. इंडियंस हैं, हमें पता है कि हम कॉपी पेस्ट करने वाले हैं. हमें चीटिंग बहुत पसंद है. बचपन से ही हम चीटिंग करते थे कि बगल वाली कॉपी में क्या लिखा हम भी वही लिखेंगे. We are a copy paste nation. I don't disagree with it at all, because we do not create anything. We never take the first mover advantage. We wait for people to draft something so that we can copy that draft and prepare our things. Because of which, what has happened, a discourse which has started about 20 years back about AIs, or maybe 10, 15 years back about AI, we are now entering that discussion. ये discussions already harmonization के, about framing of laws, about recognizing, identifying the different stakeholders, different aspects, legal aspects, it has already taken place in several parts of the world. Today what we are doing comparatives, and then we are waiting कि अच्छा फिर एक कोई organization आएगी, like a Paris Convention will happen, and there they will give you the guidelines, and then you'll start framing the laws. By then it will already be 10 more years. So you are at least 25 to 30 years behind everyone else. That is happening, and that is why it is important, whether or not we are creating any laws, whether or not any discourse or any discussion is happening at the higher leadership level or the legislative level, we need to start publishing more and more research papers talking about different aspects of AI and Indian ecosystem, Indian civilization. The legal systems, how they are functioning, and how they are prepared. If they are not prepared, what is required? And we have to foresee, and we have to be visionary enough to make a system which the outer world, or which the other countries can copy. To say that, look, India has implemented or has created a system which is so good that we should all adopt to this system. This is where we should aim at. And while we are aiming at, we should keep the law of the land, our preamble, our constitution at the helm of its affairs. To say that, look, this is our constitution. It's a very well drafted constitution. The preamble is beautiful. We should work on that preamble, on that constitution, identifying the fundamental rights, the fundamental duties, the proprietary rights, the different aspects of, say, different separation of powers, all those things. That needs to be used as the main wireframe of the kind of system that we can create for our digital platform, or for AI-enabled or metaverse platforms. This is very, very important. And if we don't do it today, tomorrow we'll be bound to follow what the Westerns, or as we keep calling them Westerns, follow what the others are doing. Because then we are only adopting to what the world has already adopted. And that is the time when we have no choice but to stay away from our culture, from our civilization. If our culture says that you cannot say do X thing in a physical world, but that X thing is allowed in digital world by other economies, by other jurisdictions, your culture will change. So by not doing anything today, we are letting our culture to be eroded. If we do something today and show to the world that yes, this is the kind of legal ecosystem that we are planning to launch or implement, then that will change the way we are letting AI come into our life. AI is an enabler. It's an efficient tool. Our law should be framed. We should have not just law, but the practices. The court should be aware of legal practices around AI. The lawyers need to be trained. अभी तो आप unless you are practicing in a metro, if you are someone who's practicing in a tier 2, tier 3 cities or towns and villages, you would have no clue about anything. What will happen? And agar, I remember sometime back I was watching this series, Jamtara or something, I guess. I think किसी ने देखी हो तो. So it is about these fraudsters, imposters, sitting in some remote location of Jharkhand and Bihar. And these guys are duping customers by making prank calls or false, fraud calls. And they are, changing these SIM cards every now and then. And, it was very, very technologically sound offense. And happening in some place called Jamtara or some remote place in Jharkhand. Now, if you have to apply your IPC on it, apply your CRPC on it, apply the Evidence Act on it, the criminal laws on it, can you go and file a complaint in police station of a remote area of Jharkhand and expect them to lodge a proper FIR? They won't even know कि charges क्या frame करने हैं. The system will fail, and that is the problem. So what we are required to do here is, while we are talking of harmonizing the law, our wireframe, there needs to be an empirical study on what are the different offenses which are technology driven, and they are predominantly created by technology or are enabled by technology, be it cyber fraud, be it cyber bullying, be it hacking, cracking. We need to first of all identify these offenses. Secondly, where are these offenses taking place? Are they taking place only in metro? Who in India is not using a smartphone today, or a phone, or is not part of the digital economy? After COVID, everyone opened their account everywhere. Paytm was to be seen. एक वो सब्जी वाले के पास भी पेटीएम है. कल मैं वो गोलगप्पे खा रहा था तो वो भी कहता है सर आप पेटीएम कर दो, चेंज नहीं है. Right? So we need to identify the stakeholders, the jurisdictions, the territories where they are located. You will find most of the crimes happening either by or through technology. चाहे वो आपके टिकटॉक्स पे या इंस्टाग्राम पे रील्स बन रही हो, चाहे वो आपके साइबर फ्रॉड हो रहा हो, ये मेट्रोज में नहीं हो रहा है. Predominantly, it's happening in villages and remote areas of India. Are we prepared? Is our policing prepared? Is our administration, our courts are prepared to take up those matters? How will they deal with it? So while we are talking about harmonizing the law as per global standards, we also need to look into ourselves and see whether we are prepared. What is our education level? Because if I talk about criminal law requires mens rea and actus reus. Actus reus is there. How do you prove mens rea? Proving mens rea becomes very difficult when somebody who has no technological background is just doing it because he has been asked to do something. आप कितनी बार देखते होगे न्यूज में आता है these call centers which are imposter and fraud, fraudsters who are running call centers, वहाँ रेड होती है और इन कॉल सेंटर्स के बेचारे ये एम्प्लॉयज को पकड़ के रख लेते हैं. They put them behind bars. What is their fault? They were not even aware, and they are the one who are perishing. So what will happen if we do not have an internal system, we do not have a proper system in place, then people of lower strata, people who are not intelligent or who are not educated, they are the one who are going to perish. It is not us. At least, I can still say that I'm fairly intelligent or fairly aware of things. But it is not going to impact me as much as it is going to impact the 70 or 80% of the population of India. So we need to first of all identify what is required in India. We need to have a thorough empirical study on this aspect. And then we take it up with these organizations, say, like, look, if you are framing law, frame it for yourself, don't frame it for us, because we are a different country, we have a different uh, sort of, what do you call it, in sociological term, anthropology or something, that we have a completely different social structure, we have a different mindset altogether. So we need to frame laws. Yes, of course, we can get inspired from your provisions, from your guidelines, but we would create our own system. But when we create our system, we also have to ensure that we recognize these global standards. Now, so for example, we read Copyright Act. In Copyright Act 1957, there is a provision with respect to international copyright order. In Designs Act also, in probably our Biodiversity Act also, we have provisions where it says that even though, let's take an example of a provision where India is not a member country of a global organization or a convention, where I think it is in the Biodiversity Act or somewhere, where it says that if the other country allows me to do something as a reciprocity, I will also allow them to do something here. That is one way of harmonizing things without being an active member of that organization. In the copyright order also, international copyright order, कभी आपको पढ़ना copyright act में है, वो कहता है कि if India will protect the foreign copyrighted works because it is member of the Berne Convention, it will protect as per its own laws, in accordance with its own laws. So while you maintain, so there is a balance. You maintain your sovereignty, as well as you allow the global standards to be fulfilled. But this is a similar, and probably we can look for a similar approach when it comes to aligning ourselves or syncing ourselves with the global standards, and at the same time, without hurting the Indian social structure, to better support the Indian structure in respect to the digital economy, in respect to metaverse and platforms like them. So this is my understanding of the harmonization process. Now, how do we achieve it? Achieving harmonization is, of course, we all follow a similar sort of a legal system. There could be either a civil law system or a common law system. We ourselves recognize ourselves as the slaves, and that's why we follow common law system, right? We are part of the Commonwealth. Do we have to stick to the common law or a civil law system for digital economies or digital world? Or do we create a third system where it is not common law or civil law, but it's a digital law? Can we take a sort of step ahead of other countries and say that, look, regardless of whether you are a civil law or a common law, this is the kind of system that we agree to? In that case, what will happen? Just for example, in common law countries, a case, a judgment sets a precedence, and that becomes a law. So we can always say that we cannot venture into that aspect, because it is going to create a madhouse, because everyone will have different laws and different cases and different judgments coming in. So we cannot accommodate that kind of system in our digital system, because common law requires that. We can always say that, look, and we don't want to be as strict and as narrow-minded as a civil law system, which says that whatever is in law, you have to just follow that. So we have to create something which is a blend of both. And how do we create it? By ensuring that only the judgments which have attained finality, they can be treated as law, and they can be guiding principles and not the final determining factor for any dispute resolution. One bit. Secondly, jurisdiction. That's a major factor. So we create a code system which is beyond the usual conventional code system. For any activity happening in a digital world, there should be a code system which is also created like an ICJ, created for that very specific world. Now, what will happen? In the US court, a court fee would be running into thousands of dollars. The lawyers would charge thousands of dollars. In India, it's variable. How do you harmonize that? How do you ensure that the court system for digital world is conducive for everyone, whether it's an underdeveloped country, whether it is a developing nation, whether it's a developed country? Because a citizen of India would not pay anything or would not want to pay anything, right? So we have to also, when we are talking about harmonization, we need to understand that the system cannot be framed or system cannot function unless you understand the needs and requirements of each and every jurisdiction and prepare a wireframe so that it is conducive for everyone. अब आपने कोड सिस्टम बना लिया, आपने जजेस भी आइडेंटिफाई कर लिए कि चलो इस तरह से पैनल चलेगा. नॉट somebody, if there's a digital dispute arising between an Indian and a Pakistani, neither Indian or a Pakistani would be a judge. Or then the question arises, then we have so many other organizations, whether India or Pakistan is a part of that organization. Say G7 में India है, G20 में Pakistan. Just give an example. अब G7 या G20 के किसी member nation उठाए तो हो सकता है वो bias हो जाए. There's a possibility. How do you reduce that biasness? So these are several, I would say teething issues, which I would see, I can perceive in case of harmonization. But it has to happen because unless it is there, we would continue to face issues not just on an internal level and a domestic level, but also internationally. If today, the other day I was watching some reel where I think at Cannes or some other film festival, a reporter comes up to this guy, I think Bollywood actor Ranveer Singh or someone, and he's talking to him. Suddenly he says, "Acha, I don't know who you are." Right? So in the US and Cannes or wherever, these guys don't know Ranveer Singh or Shah Rukh Khan. I think Shah Rukh Khan के साथ भी ऐसा कुछ हुआ. But in India, everyone knows them, right? So if my personality, which is known in India, is been misused, is misrepresented or impersonated in the US or somewhere else, how do I enforce my rights? How do I say that my personality is not an Indian personality, it is a global personality? Because then maybe I remain a citizen of India, but my personality does not remain an Indian personality. So there has to be a complete overhauling of the jurisprudence. अगर हमने ये ओवरहॉलिंग नहीं की jurisprudence की कि पर्सनालिटी क्या होती है jurisprudence में, प्रॉपर्टी क्या होती है jurisprudence में, राइट्स एंड लायबिलिटीज क्या होते हैं, तब तक हम हार्मोनाइज नहीं कर सकते इसको, और ये इश्यूज अराइज होते रहेंगे. सो वी नीड टू हैव अ कंप्लीट fresh understanding of how laws have to be framed, and that laws or legal principles have to the jurisprudence has to be set before we harmonize the laws for digital world or the virtual world. So that is very important.
After your listening deliberations, another few queries in my mind. See, you told us in your deliberation that the education system, the jurisdiction system, and the overhauling of the all jurisprudence, what we have studied long back, what is property, and what is the rights and liability, and so many things. Now, in digital world, there is concept of netizen, not
Right.
citizen.
Yes.
Correct?
Very interesting.
So it's a new kind of civilization is coming.
हाँ,
Correct.
बिल्कुल.
So as law is what is law? Law is to regulate the society members, this and that, blah 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 blah. So now again हमें तो स्क्रैच से शुरू करना पड़ेगा, जहां पर हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बना, फिर बाकी की और लॉ आए कि भाई ऑल द लॉ हैज टू बी एट पार विद द प्रेम्बल प्रोविजन ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, सो मेनी थिंग. तो एक हमें फिर से एक न्यू लीगल सिस्टम क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा. व्हाट आई थिंक, सी मैंने सुना है सर कि जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स हैं, जो उनकी ड्राफ्टिंग होती है और जहाँ लॉ बनता है या जहाँ पे मीन्स क्या होता है, अगर हमें कुछ सर्च करना होता है हम फटाफट एआई को बोलते हैं, मीन्स गूगल पे डाला और वहां से निकाला. अभी तो गूगल भी एआई के थ्रू काम करता है.
Correct.
So these officials are restricted not to use AI whenever they make the confidential drafting like cabinet note and also मैंने, क्योंकि एक बार आपने डाला वो तो फिर एआई लेके यहाँ से पता नहीं वर्ल्ड वाइड कहाँ उसको. हाँ ठीक है. हाँ, तो जहां पर एआई हमारी इतनी बेनिफिशियल्स है और अवर गवर्नमेंट इज दैट मच स्केयर्ड टू यूज द एआई.
Okay, data protection is a huge thing, and AI.
सर अब बात वही आती, डाटा प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट को भी लाने में इतना इन्होंने टाइम लगा दिया है. और जो कहते हैं ना एक्स एक टर्म सर यूज होता है एक्स एंटे लॉ, जो आपने भी बोला कि कुछ जो होने वाला है हमें पहले से ही एक लॉ बना लेना चाहिए. तो इतने फोर्सीन कहाँ से सर होते हैं. अब सर बात ही आती कि कंप्यूटर आया, उसके बाद रोबोट आया, फिर एक एआई आ गया. अब एआई बनाने से पहले हमने क्यों नहीं सोचा कि इसके क्या क्या रिप्रोडक्शन बेनिफिट्स के लिए सारी बातें की हैं. अब उसको हाउ मच इट इज डेंजरस, आपने भी सुना सर डीप फेक वीडियो. अगर हम चला इंस्टाग्राम चला रहे हैं या फेसबुक चला रहे हैं तो वहां पे अचानक से एक ये सीतारमण हमारी फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर का वीडियो आता है. वो शी से समथिंग 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 अबाउट दी जो भी पॉलिसीज हैं. उसके बाद अचानक से अंबानी का फोटो आ जाता है, मुकेश अंबानी का. वो अपना ही इज प्रोमोटिंग सम सम कंपनीज के म्यूचुअल फंड्स एंड ऑल कि आप इसमें लगाइए, इसमें लगाइए, इसमें लगाइए. तो जो डीप फेक वीडियो का कॉन्सेप्ट जो आया है, सॉफ्टवेयर बना है, तो उसी समय उसी वहीं पे क्यों नहीं इसको रोक दिया जाता है, या पहले से ही हम बता दें कि दिस थिंग, मतलब जैसे हमारे के प्रेम्बल में ये वो हो गया ना, दीज आर द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर, इसको नहीं कुछ कर सकते हैं. तो पहले से ही इस चीजों को क्यों नहीं किया जाता. अगर किया जा सकता तो हाउ. अच्छा, एक आपने वर्ड के वी हैव टू एजुकेट, टू होम वी हैव टू एजुकेट. अभी तो रील बनाने का काम शायद हम शहर के लोग शायद कम करते हो, पढ़े लिखे लोग कम करते हो थोड़ा सा, लेकिन गांव में तो इतना ज्यादा होता है.
बहुत ज्यादा
मेकिंग रील फॉर ईच एंड एवरीथिंग.
बहुत flagrant is why.
And so how to educate them?
Yes, and in fact AI or digital world can do it better than the physical education system. And but very importantly, ma'am very rightly said that deepfakes and why we are now bothered and were not bothered at say 5 or 10 years back. We are reactive people. हम पहले एक्टिव होते थे, अब हम रिएक्टिव हैं. हर चीज पे रिएक्शन है जी. ये ऐसा हो रहा है, अच्छा अब इस पे लॉ बना देते हैं. Lately what I have seen, like how the laws are being framed, is everything is on the basis of it's a knee-jerk reaction. A law will be suddenly created only to reprimand, only to stop something, not to regulate but to restrict. That is the fundamental problem with our what I'm seeing in the process of lawmaking is that it is only about reaction. It is not about proactive thinking. It is not about envisioning what is there lies in the future. Today we are higher in number. We are 150 CR people. Tomorrow there will be higher number of AIs, and there will be higher number of my alter egos, my avatars. उसके लिए आज हम क्या कर रहे हैं is a question. And that is why the existing laws are not enough to stop or to regulate, not just to stop, but to regulate the use of AI. When we talk about EU regulations, EU Act of 2024, the AI Act, it recognizes what is high risk and what is low risk or what is medium risk. So high risk would involve where deepfake is involved, where personality is involved, where health is involved, security, safety is involved. Low risk is where probably something like a QR code is not something, you know. So you have to right now in your Indian ecosystem, what is a high risk, what is a medium risk, what is a low risk. It may differ from what is there in the EU. EU में हर दूसरा बंदा पढ़ा लिखा बंदा है, इंटेलिजेंट बंदा है. I won't just say पढ़ा लिखा, but इंटेलिजेंट है, उसका IQ है. इंडिया में नहीं है. इंडिया में वो अगर व्हाट्सएप की दुकान चल रही है तो अब उनको समझाने के लिए या उस हिसाब से हमें बनाने पड़ेंगे व्हाट इज अ हाई रिस्क, मीडियम रिस्क, लो रिस्क. So we have to do an empirical study to understand under Indian context what amounts to a high risk issue, what amounts to a medium risk, what amounts to a low risk. A high risk is, say, domestic violence may be a high risk, may also be a medium risk, right? Impersonating someone can be a high risk, can also be a low risk. कि मैंने अपने दोस्त के बर्थडे में I could not reach, so I sent someone with a sort of a deep fake or whatever. That is a low risk. It is a small fraud. But at the same time, if I play something and then go and dupe him of 100 crores, it becomes a high risk. So we need to, first of all, that's why I was saying before harmonizing, before looking outside, हम खुद क्या हैं, हम क्या कर रहे हैं. वो वीडियो बड़ा फेमस है ना कि आज यूएस ये बोल रहा है, वो कर रहा है, दिस एंड दैट. भाई पहले ये बताओ वो हम क्या हैं, वेयर डू वी स्टैंड, डू वी हैव a system, do we have regulations in place to support digital economy? Because see, you cannot stop everything, you cannot restrict, you cannot say नहीं कुछ, we are not Taliban कि हर चीज बंद कर दो. हमें रेगुलेट करना है. उस रेगुलेशन के लिए we need to have empirical study to understand the existing social structure vis-a-vis legal structure. What is our social structure and how the laws have been impacting, affecting whatever the social structure, and then we create these these understandings about the digital world. That is very important. Unless we do it and we do it immediately, we are not going to go ahead, and people will keep getting frustrated of over the kind of issues which are arising. किसी के पैसे निकल जा रहे हैं, पुलिस वाले किसी को भी पकड़ के अंदर डाल देते हैं, उनको पता ही नहीं किसको पकड़ना है, वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन के नाम पे हर दूसरे बंदे को अंदर डाल देते हैं. अब एक बार किसी बंदे को आपने अंदर डाल दिया, अरेस्ट कर दिया, उसके बाद वो बंदा परेशान, उसको ना बेल मिल रही है, क्योंकि every now and then the PP will come and say no, their interrogation is going on. What interrogation is going on? And after 4 years, once your interrogation or investigation leaves nothing, तो 4 साल तो बेचारे के गए. So problem ये है, हमारे systems ऐसे हैं, and this is a very very big issue. It is not coming in the public domain, but it is a huge issue among cyber frauds. साइबर फ्रॉड्स के नाम पे वो कंपनीज जो पेमेंट गेटवेज हैं या जो भी हैं, उनको उनके डायरेक्टर्स को उठा के अंदर डाल देते हैं. उनका कोई रोल ही नहीं है, जो कर रहा है उनका पता नहीं है, क्योंकि वो झारखंड के किसी रिमोट एरिया में बैठे हैं.
Correct.
So we need to identify these, and this can be done at an academic level, that let's do a proper study and tell it to the legislatures, lawmakers कि भाई ये हो रहा है, आप क्या कर रहे हो.
Sir, just a query. Do we have not in India, in the world, do we have any law to handle deepfake videos in any of the countries, sir?
मैम अभी जो last my knowledge goes back to say the AI Act of 2024 EU, and OECD has certain guidelines. Largely deepfake, again, it is to be seen from a perspective of breach of personality rights and personal attributes. So in fact, now I think Germany or someone has also introduced the personality right as part of the copyrights. So they are allowing people to copyright their personality.
Okay.
So beyond criminal law, they are also treating it as an IP infringement. So if somebody is creating your replica in a digital world, that will also amount to copyright infringement.
Okay, so fake video will come under the Copyright Act, correct? Indirectly, if we want to take some protection in the gap of the law, the rightly, because okay, thank you, sir. Other participant may also interact with that. Yes, sir.
If participants have any question, they may ask. Chat box is also enabled. You may write your questions.
It's a very interesting topic. I'm sure people are curious. So if anyone has any question, we'd be happy to discuss.
Okay. I would like to invite Professor Dr. A.K. Tyagi sir to conclude the session. And thank you so much, sir, for your time.
I think there was one question. I'm
So
so
there's a
sorry.
question. Okay.
Can Indian Copyright Act provide a relief in cases of deepfake as of now? No, Indian Copyright Act does not recognize personality as a copyright subject matter. So unless it's one of those subject matters falling under Section 14 or Section 13, it would not be able to. So it will rather be a impersonation and fraud than a IP infringement. Then Priyanka says, my research area is use of AI in the commission of crime. I think Priyanka will have to take it offline. Probably I'll text you my email ID here. If you have a wireframe, probably I can see and give my suggestion if there are any. That's it, I guess. I think these were the only questions or queries. So you're on mute, ma'am. So you are on mute. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much, Ms. Amrita, and thank you so much, sir. And though I have been assigned an official task for official vote of thanks, but I believe it would be an injustice to the such a nice deliberation which sir has made almost 3 hours. So it was really very, enriching, knowledge enhancing. And sir, you have touched upon, almost all the aspects, the topic you have opted applicability of existing laws and legal principles in emerging technologies, including AI and the metaverse. So really the topic was very versatile and sir, you have started, means before going for the vote of thanks, I would like to conclude in that way because otherwise it would be an injustice. You talked about the, with the help of daily life examples. So it was really very impressive. And then one question was very pertinently raised by you, sir. That was that if we go for the, if there is no correct output, input, in fact, if there is no correct input, then definitely output is going to be the wrong. Then who would be responsible? So this is a question where we need to set the responsibility. And one more point was highlighted by you, that was the breach of privacy by AI. So again, who would be responsible for that? And very, impressively narrated by you, sir, that is technology has reached next level. but do we have certain arrangements to, upgrade our legal system accordingly? So all these points were, for the discussion, and of course, this is the need of the hour. Then you have talked about that who can, claim for the, copyright in AI. So of course, it is the human being only, right? So it was really very impressive session. And then in another session, this session second, you talked about the harmonization of global laws to emerging technologies, understanding jurisdictional issues, and very well said that we need to identify the stakeholders. Then only fix the responsibility. Then only we can fix the jurisdiction, and then only we can make the person responsible for that. So what is required that we need to understand in the that is the need of the hour, that we need to understand that how we can implement these things into our legal system. So it was really very impressive session and enriching, knowledge enhancing. I believe I'm having limited vocabulary for that. So it was really very impressive. So a big round of applause for sir. Sir has really impressed through this session. And last but not least, a very pertinent thing was raised that we are influenced by the WhatsApp universities nowadays. So we have to be careful for that also. So we need to align the international standards without, harming or hurting the Indian culture. So without hurting the Indian sentiment, this is again a challenge before us when we talk about the AI and the legal system. So we need to create a code system where we are going to, implement the things which are required in our society, and definitely we need to create a code system keeping in mind the present requirements for the present scenario. So it was really very impressive, sir. Thank you so much. So now the time for the official vote of thanks. I, Dr. Ajay Kumar Tyagi, the convener of FDP, on behalf of the organizing committee, on behalf of the Department of Law, they take this privilege and feeling honored to give this vote of thanks. Good afternoon to one and all present here. Good afternoon to this guest speaker of the day, Mr. Subhash, sir. And good afternoon to the Honorable Chairman, sir, Dr. Amit Gupta ji in absentia, respected Director, sir, Campus, GIMS Group, GIMS Greater Noida Campus, Professor Dr. Sachin Yadav ji, Registrar GIMS Greater Noida, Professor Dr. R.N. Rajotia, sir, HOD Department of Law, Professor Dr. Pallavi Gupta, ma'am, all dear HODs from different departments, GIMS Greater Noida, my dear colleagues, friends, and other friends from the academic and industry fraternity, and my dear research scholars. So we have come to the end. I'm really very grateful to all of you that for that patience listening, in fact, and for listening very carefully and raising your queries. So you made the FDP really very meaningful and successful. So I want to thank each and everyone from the heart of my corner, from the corner of my heart, and I believe the another days, and in next 3-4 days, we are going to enhance our knowledge in the same manner. So once again, thank you so much, sir, for your presence, for your precious time sparing for us. Thank you so much. So one more thing I would like to announce, that today we have not taken that discussion part. So the today's discussion part we would be taking tomorrow afternoon, after the first session in the afternoon. Today's discussion we will carry on, and then afterwards we will carry on the tomorrow's discussion. So the groups, those who were assigned for the today's discussion, now we'll take up this discussion tomorrow because of the shortage of time. And tomorrow we will have the tomorrow's discussion as well. So 2 discussion sessions would be there after the first session. In the second session, we will have these 2 discussion sessions. So thank you very much once again, one and all present here. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Subhash ji?
Have a nice day.
Yes, sir. So, sir, some other time, please you meet physically whenever you are comfortable, sir. क्योंकि आप तो सर नोएडा में, हम ग्रेटर नोएडा में हैं, लेकिन because of this rain we could not, this meeting was not possible, and we were waiting for you for the lunch, but हमें अकेले ही खाना पड़ा. So
I will double it up next time.
Yeah,
Because,
sir.
still we are lacking in technology, that we cannot offer you lunch virtually. Bouquet we can offer, but lunch we cannot offer you. So rightly
I'm-
mentioned by the ma'am, we'll have lunch together. One more thing I would like to request all the participants, kindly switch on all your videos for a group photograph. Everyone, please switch on your videos, your cameras for a group photograph. I request all the participants for a group photograph, kindly switch on your videos. Thank you so much, everyone. And tomorrow we will begin the session at 10 a.m. sharp. So have a nice day, have a nice evening, and then we'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you
Have a
so
nice
much.
day, sir. Thank you.
It was pleasure. Thank
Good
you.
I
day.
think we have Dr. P.K. Gupta, HOD of MEMS, Floresville. Whether you want to say something, you want to say? I think he, okay. उनको unmute करना है. Just wait.
Thank you, Professor Palvi.
जी sir.
It's a very pleasant time to be with the very expert people here. And most of the time I am on listening mode and along with doing department work.
Thank you,
So
sir.
I am extremely sorry, apologize for not actively participating in this, right? And so on remaining days, I would try to add on from my side. And really, it's a wonderful FDP going on. I'm enjoying a lot. And the speaker, Sri Subhasji, so really he talked wonderful and great insights. And I especially thank sir. And as you observed, that it would be better that he would come physically and all of us join physically.
Definitely,
Right.
sir. Definitely.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Sir,
Thank you.
we have gone for the YouTube live also. So we'll share the link for that. If anything missed, we can take from them. Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for your motivational words. Thank you so much. Your
Thank you.
blessings are gracing our FDP, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.